most people, when programming in vanilla Java, would validate their objects like this. So we have our simple user example with username, password, and age. And obviously a constructor with all the arguments and getters and setters. And we also have a user controller with the mapping for the add user. Normally, in plain Java, when we would want to validate this object, we would start writing if statements and throwing exceptions like caveman in every setter. So let's do it. I will start with the string fields, and I will add check for null, and if the username is empty, I will do the same thing for the password, and for the age, I will check if the age is between 18 and 99. So if age is less than 80 and age is less than 99, we will throw new exception. Okay, and also because we are using integer the class and not the primitive type, we will also do a null check. So age equals null. Okay. As you can see, we are very repetitive and verbose. We have error messages everywhere, and it's not that easy to abstract away this logic meaningfully, since most often we would add different conditions. For example, username could have different minimum and maximum size than the password. But today we are not in a vanilla Java project, but in a Spring Boot project. So maybe there is some better standardized Spring Boot way to do it. And you are right, there is. If we go to the build Gradle file, we can see that I added the Spring Boot starter validation. And the Spring Boot starter validation adds a few libraries like Jakarta Bean Validation API and Hibernate Validator. We'll focus today on the Jakarta Validation API and some built-in annotations for validation. So let's delete the old validation. And instead of that, I will add for every field the not null annotation. Not null from the Jakarta, okay. And not null here. And not null here. But these annotations don't actually do anything by themselves and don't generate any code, like for example not null in Lombok would. If I run this up now, so Spring run, and I will test this endpoint in a Postman. Okay, it's running. Now send. Obviously, when we provide every argument, it passes. But if I, for example, did password, it will still pass, even though password should be not null. This is because our application doesn't know that it should validate. To change that, we need to add two new annotations to our controller. First of all, on the top of the class, we need to add validated. And to our user, we need to add valid. Okay. Now, if we restart our application, now if we run again and test our endpoint, we see that we get bad request. So our validation is working. Instead of using not null, we also can use not empty or not blank. So not blank will check if the string obviously is empty or has white space, and not empty will just check if it's not empty but will allow white space. We also can change the size of the string with the add size annotation. So for example, we can set it for the password and get for example, min equals 3 and max equals 30. Okay, and we run our application again. Spring run. Okay, and let's test it again. For example, I will now get two character password. We get bad request. Pass. We get password. And if I spam the characters, it should be over 30, and we also get bad request. Next, for our integer age, we also can change the values with the max and min annotations. So for example, min could be 18, so our user has to be over 18, and max should be 99. Okay, and let's run our application again. And now our user is 100, so we should also get bad request. We get bad request. For 99, we should be fine. Okay, 98. There's some problem. Yes, password is obviously too long. So let's go with pass. And now we pass. With 99 we also should pass, of course, but with 100 we don't pass, obviously. And with 80 we pass, with 70 we don't pass. So everything is working. We can also not only set the hard-coded maximum and minimum value, we also can, for example, check if our integer is positive or 0. Also, we can include 0. We can check if it's negative or 0. It will work the same, so I don't think there is a need for showing it in the Postman. I will also now add new field called email. And we will annotate it with the email annotation to validate if it's a valid email. So private string email. I will also generate getter and setter for it. So public, okay, set email and get email, and we will use it here. Set email, but we also need email. And email here. Okay, it's everywhere. Okay, and we will also print it here. Get email. Okay, and let's now check it out in our in Postman. So let's run our application. And we also should check. I forgot to. We also should check if the email is not empty or not blank to make sure that everything will work, because email won't work if, for example, we get null or blank. So now let's rerun our application. Okay, and I will press don't send email. We get bad request because we don't have email. And now let's go email, for example, 1. We get also bad request because we sent wrong JSON, but now it's bad request because we didn't set correct email. So now let's go, for example, oscar@karbarczyk.dev, send, and we get good email. But if I, for example, delete this part, it also shouldn't pass. And as we can see, it works just fine. We only scratched the surface of validation today. But if you want to learn more about it, I'm working on a full Spring validation guide. If you are interested in that, check the top link in the description. Here's my last video where I explain the most important Spring Boot concepts, and till the next time, create some amazing applications.